Well, meanwhile, in Damascus, the Syrian government has released hundreds of detainees, including those who fought against President Bashar al-Assad. The Justice Minister said there were 91 women among the 672 people released on Saturday. Well, joining me now in the studio is Haid Haid. He is a Syria researcher specialising in security policies and conflict resolution and an associate fellow at Chatham House. So I thought we could begin by looking at former ISIL fighters or ISIL fighters in Raqqa, because this is something that you've looked into in detail. We know that these fighters have been pardoned. How is it determined whether a fighter can readjust to their community, can adjust to a way of thinking that is inclusive and non-sectarian?
I think it's quite an important question for many reasons, but to answer that, I think we should look first at the reasons that pushed those people to join ISIS in the first place. According to many studies, many people joined ISIS either for financial reasons or they joined ISIS for protection, thinking that not joining ISIS will basically expose them to either detention or other kind of persecution means. And this is why only, I think, few people joined ISIS for ideological reasons. And to be able to reintegrate those people into their communities, I think we need to look at why they joined, and then based on that, tailor programs that basically deal with the issues that push them to do so.
So, as you say, there are different levels of fighters or different levels of participation within the group. But is there a risk that something like this really does fuel a sense of injustice and a lack of accountability in a society that has already suffered so much?
Definitely, and this is why I think pardoning former ISIS fighters should not be based on only them giving up fighting for the group. It should be based on the crimes they committed, and whenever there is enough evidence that people committed crimes and basically violations against other people, those people should be basically persecuted. But in the absence of any kind of basically evidence, then those people should not be persecuted only because of that. If you look at the number of people who basically pardoned recently, most of them are children. And
yes, the youngest in this case was 14 years old.
Exactly. And from what we know so far is that many ISIS members are children. And also we know that many people who are part of ISIS, they work as civil servants. So those people deserve a second chance. Otherwise, what we are looking at here is pushing them against the wall and continue to fight until the end, which will continue to divide the societies and communities in Syria.
Right. So, but then what... if you look at international involvement in Syria, particularly that that began, US involvement that began under the Obama administration and is now continuing under President Trump, the goal that we hear repeatedly in Europe, in the US, it's about defeating ISIL. What specifically does that mean?
Well, defeating ISIS should include many levels. One of them is defeating the group militarily by fighting them and taking back the territories they control. But that should be part of a more comprehensive strategy.
Which is absent.
Which is absent, exactly. That strategy should not only look at defeating the group militarily, but look at addressing the issues and the root causes of the problem that allowed ISIS and other groups to basically flourish in the first place. If we look at what happened in Iraq, the group was defeated there. At that point, it was called the Islamic State in Iraq. But because the government there didn't deal with the causes of the problem, the group re-emerged stronger than before in 2014. While if we look at what happened in rural Aleppo and rural Idlib in 2014, where local communities fought ISIS and pushed them out of those areas and worked on reintegrating local members back into their communities, those members, many of them, they live peacefully there and they didn't join other groups and they don't fight anymore. So we have bad examples and we have good examples. But the bottom line here is that, first of all, you have to build confidence and trust so people can basically trust the forces that are offering them them protection, but also we have to look at a strategy that deals with the real problems that allow those groups to emerge in the first place.
Oh, Hyde, thank you very much for giving us a sense of the challenges that still lie ahead. Thank you for giving us your analysis.